"Where is Jennifer?" I asked. "She went with Daisy to see Scott," Betty said with no elaboration. I quickly dismissed it with no questions asked. The tense silence that followed lasted a couple of seconds as they all looked at me. I cleared my throat and smiled. "Guys, this is Jake," I motioned towards my cousin. Betty and Brian introduced themselves, welcoming him with bright smiles. "Did you visit your mom and Andrew yet?" Brian asked, concerned. "No, not yet," I sighed, scratching the back of my neck. It reminded me of Harrison, so I quickly dropped my hand. "I'm going there when Andrew calls." They went to the doctor for a daily checkup. "You'll be staying here for a while, right?" Betty asked with a warm smile, and I nodded. "My room is being used as an equipment site for all my mom's medical machines," I said. "I hope it's okay that I stayed." "You're welcomed anytime," Betty said. "In addition, Beta Nell gave you permission." As I was about to say something, I heard the distant sound of car doors shutting. The familiar manly smell wafted up my nose, causing my wolf to jump in joy. I froze, feeling my heart drop into my belly. My heart beat faster with every step that grew louder as he approached the front of the house. What confused me was the sweet, feminine smell that mixed with his and the heavier sound of footsteps that followed after him. I inhaled deeply, trying to recognize the smell. However, I couldn't. I shrugged it off. It was probably a new werewolf. Everyone around me watched me with wary eyes. Jake stood behind me as we all awaited the presence of my mate. I really didn't want this moment to come so soon, but I quickly closed my eyes knowing I had to encounter him sometime. When I opened my eyes, there he was staring back at me with his crystal blue eyes that darkened like a storm. I could see all the emotions that flickered in them. He opened his mouth to say something, but he was at a loss of words. He was still as handsome as before with his black hair cut short, his prominent jawline, his sculpted cheekbones, and his muscled arms I remembered myself being wrapped in. My wolf demanded that I embrace my mate now, but I followed the same muscled arms that used to hold me and found that his hand was intertwined with a smaller hand. My world collapsed as I saw the woman next to Harrison. She was around my age and she was extremely pretty. Her light brown hair was in a loose side braid, her shorter hair framing her heart-shaped face. She looked happy to see me as her lips pulled into a big, welcoming smile. She was average. She wasn't a someone who I'd imagined to see wrapping her arms around Harrison. She was just a normal human. For a couple of seconds, it was quiet as I swallowed in on myself. I could literally feel my heart breaking in two. My vision started to blur, but I blinked back the tears and plastered on a fake smile. "Hello, Harrison," I addressed formally, and his expression never changed. He still looked at me with all the emotions flickering on his face. "This is Jake Woods, my cousin." I looked up at Jake to see his lips set in a thin line. His light brown eyes had darkened in anger. "Calm down, Jake. You promised," I spoke through the mind link. He didn't listen, but stared at Harrison as if he wanted to kill him right there. "Baby, are you okay?" The female next to Harrison put a hand on his shoulder in worry. I held in the growl that dared to escape my lips. That seemed to snap Harrison out of whatever he was thinking. He ran his hand in his hair before glancing at me again. He, too, plastered on a fake smile as he spoke. "Welcome back, Jessica." I cringed when he said my full name. His smooth and deep voice brought back memories of when he used to tease me, tell me stories, and whisper adoring words in my ear. I shook it off. "Jake, welcome to Lancetown." Jake shifted his weight, but didn't say anything. "Ah," Harrison continued, still wearing that fake smile. "This is Sarah Price, my girlfriend. Nice to meet you," I forced out. "I'll see you guys at dinner. I'm going to go, unpack my stuff. Do you need help?" Betty asked, her voice soothing. I didn't dare look at anyone else in the room, afraid that if I met their sympathetic eyes, I would burst. No? Thank you." Walking past Harrison and into the corridor where the stairs were located, I felt the tears roll down my face and heard the whimper of my wolf. She cried too. Even if I sat as far away as possible, I was still aware of his every movement. Usually, I would bathe in his manly smell that engulfed me for the past 2 hours. I would bury myself in my favorite scent, content and happy. However, it felt suffocating when I reminded myself that we weren't together anymore or he didn't want me. Harrison was quiet, occasionally looking in my direction. My wolf would purr every time he secretly glanced at us. Us! My hands itched to wipe the food that smeared on the corner of his mouth. Whenever I was aware that Sarah entwined her hands with his own, I had to stop the growl that wanted to escape from my lips. "Jessie," Perry groaned, smacking his forehead with his hand. "Please tell them to stop." I laughed when he motioned towards a bickering Jennifer and Nell. They sat across each other, leaning forward in the heat of the moment. Jake, who sat next to Nell, stared at them with wide eyes. "Listen to me, Nelson Cooper," Jennifer scolded angrily, her face turning red. Only if you promise to talk dirty, babe, Nell winked, crossing his arms over his chest. His gray eyes danced with amusement while Jennifer's green eyes glared at him. Jennifer twirled a piece of her long blonde hair before biting her lip suggestively. She looked down at Nell's lips. Slowly dragging her gaze to look straight into his eyes, she smiled seductively. I held back my laughter when Nell's eyes widened before darkening. "Why don't we?" Jennifer said sweetly before someone interrupted her again. "Oh gosh!" Perry cried, gripping his hair with both his hands. "Please, not again." However, the couple ignored his comment. "Why don't we go to your room?" Jennifer said suggestively before her voice went harsh. "So that way I could suffocate you with all your pillows." "Oh, come on." Nell leaned back, still smiling at Jennifer. "You know you love me." "Shut up, lover boy," Jennifer said before returning her gaze towards me. "Where's Betty and Brian? They sure are taking long with the dessert." In that precise moment, we heard glass shattering inside the kitchen. We all laughed when Brian yelled, "Ouch!" "Gosh, Betty, it was an accident. That was my favorite glass bowl," Betty retorted. "Because you are so vertically challenged, you ruined it. Are you calling me clumsy?" My eyes landed on Daisy, Harrison, and Sarah. Daisy and Harrison were deep in conversation, probably discussing about Scott's well-being. Sarah stared down at her porcelain plate, playing with her food. "Jessie," Jennifer whispered so only I could hear. "I'm sorry about what happened." "You didn't do anything, Jennifer," I said, smiling at her. "It's fine. If he's happy, then I'm happy for him." "Harrison obviously doesn't see what a great girl he was blessed with," Jennifer said angrily. "He doesn't deserve you at all. Jennifer, I wanted the breakup. Not him, so he's not at fault. But still, he doesn't need to be gallivanting with other girls when he found his mate, does he?" I stayed quiet for several seconds before voicing the question that has been haunting my mind for a while. "Does she know about us?" Jennifer shook her head. "I think it's better that way," she whispered. She looked over my head, her eyes widening slightly. "Oh no." I looked back to see Sarah coming towards us. She sat in Betty's chair, which was next to me, with a friendly smile on her face. "Hi, guys," she said. "Hi, guys," Sarah said to Jennifer and me with a friendly smile on her face. "Stop it," I said to my growling wolf. "Being jealous won't be of any use." "Hi, Sarah," Jennifer said stiffly, plastering a fake smile on her face. She was interrupted when a crumpled napkin hit her cheek. Her smile fell and she turned to glare at Nell's smug face. "You're such an attention-seeker, drama queen." Perry and Jake groaned as the couple argued again. "Hey, Sarah," I said, turning back to Sarah with the friendliest expression I could muster. I probably looked like a hyperactive chipmunk, but it was better than being stoic. "Jessie," she returned. "It's nice to finally meet you. Your group of friends had many good things to say about you. I was excited to meet you from the way they described you." "Oh, that's good, I hope," I laughed awkwardly. Although Sarah was being immensely nice and kind, I couldn't help but feel awkward around her. She was dating the man that was made for me, my soulmate. My soulmate. She loved my first love, my current love, and the person I will love forever no matter the circumstances. "From the way your friends talked about you, I don't think there was anything bad to say," she laughed. "Good, because I would have smacked them all," I said jokingly. I noticed Harrison was staring at me. I somehow feel like he was still in love with me. No way. That must be my pitiful imagination. Sarah looked at him and he removed his gaze away from me. It made me wonder if she knew about me and Harrison's past. "So," I cleared my throat, "you and Harrison, huh?" "Yeah," she gushed like a girly teenager. "We've been together for 6 months. Even if I prepared myself for her answer, it still caused my stomach to twist into an agonizing knot. My wolf howled at the thought of her mate being with someone else. I ignored the growing ache in my chest and quickly shook off the feelings before Sarah saw. "That's great," I said brightly, although I wasn't feeling so bright at the moment. "He's the best," she continued to gush. "I'm so lucky that he's my boyfriend. He's really sweet, funny, and gosh, is he handsome." "I'm happy for you two," I exclaimed. My statement was half true. I was happy that Harrison was happy. "How did you guys meet?" As cliche as it sounds, I was walking to the store when I bumped into him. From there, our journey started. I resisted the urge to roll my eyes at her. She was one heck of a vulnerable, hopeless romantic. I didn't know what to say next, because of my raging jealousy. I wasn't going to lie and say I wasn't jealous. I also wasn't going to lie and say Holly wasn't a friendly girl just because I envied her relationship with my soulmate. The hard truth was, Harrison had found a girl worth keeping. "The dessert is finally ready," Betty sang, saving me from responding to Sarah. "Sorry it took so long. Brian here was no help at all." "I did mostly everything," he cried, following behind her. He held a huge cake in his hands, and I resisted the urge to attack it. They knew how much I loved carrot cake, and there it was, glorious on the porcelain platter. I iced it, I piped out the letter, and I even baked it. Sorry, dear, but you are one horrible cook. Anyways, Betty digressed, straying away from her embarrassment. We made Jessie's favorite cake to welcome Jessie and Jake. You guys are too kind, I said, shooting appreciative smiles towards Betty and Brian. I looked at everyone, including Harrison, in the eyes with gratitude. Thank you for welcoming me back and being friendly towards my cousin, although he is a little slow. Hey, Jake warned. I've missed you guys a whole lot, and I'm glad that I'm here right now. You guys have been amazing friends. Actually, you all are like my family, and you will always be my family, I said honestly, while everyone at the table awed. Hey, is this the end of this world? Brian asked jokingly. I've never seen Jessie be so nice. I suppose it is then, Nell and Perry said in unison. We've missed you, Daisy said, pushing her platinum blonde hair out of her face to give me a warm smile. Welcome to Lancetown, Jake. Thank you, Jake said, smiling. Thank you for taking me in. Oh, we'll take you in any time, handsome, Betty said bluntly. I agree, Jennifer giggled. I laughed when Jake blushed and shot me a frightened look when Brian and Nell growled. Oh, relax, Jennifer and Betty said simultaneously, laughing and giving each other a high five. Welcome back, Jessie, everyone said while Daisy, Jennifer, and Betty hugged me. The fabulous four are reunited, Betty cried. This is way too sentimental for my taste, I joked bitterly. Whatever, Daisy said. I know you missed us. You love us, Jennifer joined in. Hey, I yelled when I saw that Brian already started eating the carrot cake. He froze with cream cheese on the corner of his mouth, brown eyes widening in horror. You didn't just touch that carrot cake first. Oh, I did, Brian said in a smug tone, taking another bite of the angelic cake on his plate. I poked his belly. You better watch out. You've got big troubles. I lied. Everyone roared in laughter. Oh, please, Brian said, not bothered by what I just said. He flexed his arm. The only thing that got big were these muscles. Everyone started teasing Brian, and the laughter and conversation just grew from there. It was loud, everyone fighting and joking with each other. I looked at my friends with a big, genuine smile on my face. Although it was loud and crazy, I was happy to be back home. My heart raced in my chest as the phone rang. Please be okay. The knots in my stomach constricted as I tightened my grip on my cell phone. Shaking slightly, I drew in an unstable breath. I looked up at the dark sky, which was dotted with twinkling stars. There was a slight breeze causing a rustle to come from the millions of leaves in the forest behind the pack house. It was silent as I sat on the porch steps, waiting for Andrew to pick up. Hello, a tired voice answered from the other end. Andrew, my voice shook. What happened? Why you didn't call me? Did something happen with Mom? I'm sorry, Jessie, he said. I just didn't want to bother you. I knew the pack's plan to welcome back dinner. Mom is my top priority. It was the reason I came here. She's fine, Andrew reassured with a lighter voice. The doc said she'd be able to eat right in a couple of days. Can I visit? I said, anxious to hold my mother in my arms. Sure, you may even come over now, but she's sleeping, Andrew said. Oh, I said, slightly disappointed. I think I'll just come over tomorrow after the meeting. She's resting. I don't want to bother her. She needs to get some rest. Okay, then I'm going over there to come see you, Andrew said. I heard the jingling of keys. He yawned. I'm so sorry that I wasn't there to welcome you home. Andrew, just get some sleep. I'll come tomorrow. Don't worry. I would rather you take care of Mom than welcome me home. Are you sure? Of course, I smiled even if he couldn't see me. Just so you know, I'm smiling right now. That's right, kiddo. I heard Andrew's voice lace with happiness. Hold your head up high and smile. Stand up tall and remain strong. You are strong, I recited, remembering the words my older brother always told me when we were going through rough times. You too, Andrew, I sighed, hoping that my brother was okay. Are you okay? There was a short pause before he sighed. I'll be fine. Now go sleep. You must be tired from your road trip. See you tomorrow. Good night, Andrew. I love you. Love you too, my little sis, Andrew said before the line went dead. Tears slipped down my cheeks, wanting to embrace my family in my arms. I felt useless sitting here, crying while I could be over there to help Andrew take care of my family. There was only one reason that made me take residency in the pack house for my stay in Lancetown. I had a feeling that the only reason they were attacked was because of me, and I didn't need to lead any more danger towards my injured mother. Are you okay? I heard a familiar voice say. I closed my eyes, my chest clenching at the soothing male voice. Although I hated that he had to see me like this, a shiver went down my spine. I got up from my seat on the porch steps and turned to face Harrison. His crystal blue eyes still held a lot of emotion. He slightly flinched when a traitor tear rolled down my cheek. I'm fine, I said distantly, walking around him to go back into the house. Jess, he whispered. The pain in my chest grew, hearing him use the nickname he gave me. I closed my eyes once again, walking towards the door as if I've never heard him. Jess, he said with concern. I froze when I felt his hand on my arm, causing the familiar warmth and tingles to spread all throughout my body. My wolf howled, wanting to be closer to her mate. I refused to turn around to face him. I felt the tears rolled down my cheeks some more. There were a lot of emotions surfacing now that I just talked to my brother, and Harrison finally wanted to talk to me after 14 months. Yes, I whispered. My voice quavered and I cursed myself for being so weak. Can we talk? He asked after a short silence. He dropped his hand. I felt his eyes burning holes in my back. What do you want to talk about? We need to talk, or I think we should talk about where we... Harrison sighed. Can we talk about us? There's nothing to talk about. I'm fine with you hanging out with your little lover. I shrugged. Even if my back was facing him, I felt him flinch. We need to talk about us, and I know you're probably wondering about Sarah, Harrison said, his voice trembling. Harry, there's nothing to talk about, okay? It's my fault that we're not together anymore. I'm happy for you and Sarah. You deserve to be happy. I didn't give him time to answer as I opened the back door and entered the house. Once again, I walked away from Harrison with tears in my eyes. First of all, please welcome back Jessie, Harrison said to the crowd of people in front of him, motioning a hand towards me. Also, please welcome her cousin Jake Wood. The crowd clapped with bright smiles on each of their faces. It was rare to see a pack meeting with this much people, but the Avalon and the Stone Pack decided to have the meeting together today. It was also rare to see that the two packs got along well. They sat together, making small conversation. The men shook each other's hands while the women hugged each other. All 170 of us were cramped up in the meeting room in the pack house. Everyone shared chairs, kids sat in their parents' laps, the men stood to the side of the room. The representatives of the pack, such as Brian, Harrison, Nell, Perry, Betty, Jennifer, Daisy, James, Sam, Clark, Jake, and I, stood at the front. The only people missing were Andrew and my mother. The thought caused an ache in my chest, but I quickly shook it off. I couldn't wait to see them after the meeting. It wouldn't surprise me if I bolted out of the room before anyone else did once the meeting was adjourned. I am Harrison White, the alpha of the Avalon Pack, my mate said, smiling a warm smile towards the werewolves. My wolf soared with pride at the mention of her mate's high title. He patted Nell's back. This is Beta Nelson Cooper. I'm Alpha Brian Smith of the Raven Pack, my best friend said and flashed a perfect smile. He motioned towards James. This is Beta James Porter. James, Clark, and Sam welcomed me home this morning. Although they didn't really spend much time around the Avalon Pack because they couldn't really stand it, they were still great friends of mine. I shot a warning look at Nell, who looked like he was going to tear James into shreds. James rolled his eyes, still standing next to Jennifer. You better stay the away from her, dude, Nell whispered only so we could hear. Clark and Sam growled at Nell, projecting their beta as an instinct. Look, Cooper, Jennifer and I are just friends, James snapped. I respect her decision to be with her soulmate. You have her now, so I don't know why you're getting your panties in a twist. To refresh your memories, James and Jennifer were in a relationship and were still in a relationship a year ago. A month after I left, Jennifer broke up with James, telling her she felt that it was wrong to date somebody else when she was blessed enough to have found her mate. James let her go. 2 months after that, Nell and Jennifer started their relationship. The alphas shot a warning look towards their betas, obviously telling them through the mind link that they needed to stop being immature in front of all of these pack members. After I left, I tried my best to hide what I was feeling and all my thoughts from Harrison and the Avalon Pack. They didn't need to hear my true feelings or my exact reason for leaving. It's good to see all of you here, Brian continued. We are extremely proud to be the alphas of such a dedicated pack. I'm pretty sure you are aware of why we called a meeting. There were a few slow nods, a blanket of fear and concern covering the people in front of us. So, Alpha Harrison will explain further. Harrison cleared his throat before saying, A few days ago, we were attacked by hunters in the forest with weapons laced with wolfsbane. From our discovery, they were customized guns, spears, and arrows to take down werewolves. There were a few gasps, including my own. The pit of my stomach began to hurt from all the tension and the fear that started to build. No worries, there are no signs of hunters so far. They do not know where we live or where we walk. They just caught us while we were taking the special training that the representatives receive. Luckily, nobody was killed in this attack. We managed to take down the hunters. However, 2 people were severely injured. Please give a round of applause for the bravery of Brian Smith, who took a knife for his mate, Betty White, Harrison said with gratitude. I clapped along with the crowd, proud that Brian had done that to protect Betty. And to Angela Wood, who unfortunately couldn't make it today because of her condition. She took the bullet for her son, Andrew Turner. We are unbelievably lucky to have not lost such a brave woman. I felt the tears build up in my eyes, but I didn't dare let it fall. I smiled with the relief that my mother had made it and clapped proudly with the crowd. "Are you okay?" Jake said through the mind link. With healers, it was impossible to block out each other. Healers were supposed to work together, and it was forbidden to deny each other. "Yes, Jake. I'm just happy that my mom is okay. She's from Wood's family," Jake said, causing me to smile even bigger. "That's my Aunt Angela. However, we are still in danger," Harrison continued bluntly. It was an alpha's duty not to lie to their pack. We got a lead on rogues helping these hunters take down both our packs. It is true. Rogues and hunters have teamed up. My mouth dropped open and there were loud gasps. The whole room started talking hysterically. Before it could get any crazier, Brian and Harrison said, "Quiet down!" The whole room fell silent in a second. Jake and I were shocked having to hear this for the first time. The other representatives kept a straight face, but I could tell they were as scared as everyone in this room was. "Why?" I blurted out before thinking twice, causing everyone to look at us. I was genuinely curious. I held my head high, looking Harrison square in the eyes. What are their intentions? It took a couple of seconds for Harrison to answer. He looked me straight in the eyes and then back at everyone in front of him. "We have something that the hunters are after, but never in a million years will I give it to them." In a second, the room was in complete chaos. "What?" a guy with graying hair yelled. "This is just ridiculous," a woman cried, clutching her 3-year-old son to her. "You would put your packs in danger because you refused to give something up?" Another woman yelled. "Enough!" Brian's voice roared throughout the crowd. It shook the windows, causing a silence to fall upon the room. Everyone looked down, ashamed and scared. I, too, shrunk back a bit from the authority in his voice. "It is too valuable to be given up." "What could it possibly be?" Jake said beside me, shock written across his features. "I'm afraid that is confidential," Harrison replied. "This meeting is adjourned. Please leave without drawing attention towards our pack house." In an hour and a half, the conference room was emptied out and everyone had left. Clark, James, and Sam had left. We all slumped down in the couches in the living area, deep in thought. "What do the hunters want?" I brought myself to ask my friends. "I have no idea," Perry replied. "Only the alphas know." At that moment, Brian and Harrison came out of the conference room. They looked exhausted and stressed. Betty stood up from her seat, hugging Brian to calm him down. Harrison walked towards the hallway that led to the front door. He was probably going for a run to let off some steam. "Jake, are you ready to go?" I asked, getting up from my seat. I really wanted to see my family. Jake nodded, following me to the front door. "That was intense," Jake said. "Tell me about it. Are you ready to see your mom? I can't wait to see her. I missed her so much. I can't wait to hear her compliments. I know what she's going to say already. She's going to thank me for being the doting cousin, and she's going to say I'm immensely handsome," Jake joked. I elbowed him in the ribs and laughed. "You should better watch out. Once she found out what you said, she won't be complimenting you anymore," I said. "I'm kidding," Jake said, throwing his arm around my shoulder. "I miss Aunt Angela and I really want to see her after the attack," I said bluntly. "Just say it, Jake. Avoiding it wouldn't change the truth." "I'm sore." He went silent when we saw the scene in front of us. I froze, feeling the familiar ache in my chest. Only this time, it was 10 times worse. I've always felt it when he kissed another girl, or the one time he made love to another girl. It was completely different when you saw it. It confirmed that whatever you were feeling was true. Harrison's back was faced towards us, and Sarah was on the other side of the door. She smiled, before reaching up on her tiptoes to peck Harrison on his lips. Although it was only a millisecond, my heart shattered and it felt like a cobra wrapped itself around my chest. I bit my lip, refusing to let the growl that threatened to escape. My wolf was outraged. Jake looked angry as he pulled me closer to his chest and pushed towards the door. "Excuse me," he said, rudely shoving past Harrison. He put me in the passenger seat of my Pegasus and he climbed into the driver's seat. He drove out of there as fast as possible. However, I didn't miss the hurt look that crossed Harrison's features when he looked at me. After a couple of Jake's concerned glances, I said, "I'm fine, Jake. I don't believe you. You're so honest with everything else except yourself." I flinched, looking at him. I could tell he was angry by the way he clutched the steering wheel tightly, causing his knuckles to turn white. "He's an asshole," he continued. "Forget it, Jake," I said, trying to change the subject. "No, Jessie. You shouldn't try to run away from your problems with Harrison," he cried stubbornly. "I'm not running away, Jake," I snapped. "If I were running away, I wouldn't have come here in the first place. And that also brings us back to why we came here in the first place. I came here for my mom, not Harrison." We arrived at my house in no time, the mini mansion looming over us. Jake and I sat there for a couple of seconds. Looking at me, he said, "You're right." "I'm sorry." "Jake, you're just being a good cousin," I smiled. "So thank you for looking after me." "Always, Jessie," Jake said. "Now let's get inside so Aunt Angela could compliment me."